of the most important areas of your business as it pertains to wrapping up your year-end tax purposes is inventory. And the reason is because this information needs to be captured before entering any new year sales information or inventory product orders. So there's a couple of areas that we want to check for the settings to ensure they're set properly. We're going to begin by going to Preferences. With Boulevard 2020, you can access Preferences from the main toolbar by clicking Preferences under the Business group, and then there's several options. We're going to start with the My Business Info. You can also access from the Edit menu as well. The first section that we're going to take a look at is the Print on Tax Reports options. This allows you to print additional information, first name, last name, title, your business name, or whatever you would like to enter in this field. And those pieces of information will display on the 5 different tax reports. The second area is the Online Sync tab. This is important because it deals with your Main Street account credentials. You want to ensure that your email address and password is correct and that the Check for Available Software Releases checkbox is checked. Then click Verify, and if your information pops up, you know that your account credentials are set correctly. This allows you to ensure that you receive software releases as we post them, and if you're on the product update service and Avenue, you also get those as well. Now, the last area in Preferences that you want to ensure is set up is under the Plugins tab, and this is specifically for Canada and US. And you'll want to put in your consultant ID and password for InTouch. And what this does is links your account, your InTouch account, to Boulevard for the purpose of importing product orders. So you'll go ahead and click the Verify button, and it's going to go through and check your credentials to ensure that they are set up. And once it's verified, you just click OK. And then OK again to close and save Preferences. Now, the next area that we want to check for settings is in the Inventory Orders. You can access that by clicking on the Orders button from your main toolbar, or you can also go to the Product menu as well. Now, when you click the Import button, if you already have orders that have been downloaded, this Imported Inventory Orders window will pop up automatically. If this order has already been entered into your software, for example, I already have this one, then all I need to do is delete it and then close. And when I click the Import button again, Boulevard's going to go out and check for new orders. I'll have the date range that pops up. I can set my date range and import new orders. Now, for the Product Purchase Report, which is one of the tax reports that you need for tax purposes, it gives a listing of all of the orders that you've placed with the company for a specific time period. You want to make sure that the orders that are included are only orders that have a received status. So if you have any orders that are marked as open or placed, you want to make sure that either they're received into your inventory, which all you have to do is select it and then choose Placed, Acknowledge, and then Received. Then Receive All and click OK. Now, I'm not going to OK this because I want to show you one other option. But if I clicked OK, then it would turn the status into Received, and those items on this order would be put into my inventory. If my inventory is completely accurate, I've already updated my inventory counts, but I still need to count this in my product purchase report, but I don't want to change my on-hand amounts, what you can do is just right-click on this order and choose to close it. And Boulevard's going to let you know that it's not going to add any quantities to your inventory and to confirm that you do want to close it. So once I click yes, you'll notice that my status has now changed to received, but it didn't update any of my on-hand amounts. Now again, if my inventory is accurate, but I missed entering any orders, what I can do is create a new historical order. And by creating a new historical order, it allows me to enter the date and the dollar values for the order without changing my on-hand amount. So I have that option as well. Now, one last thing that we want to check while we're in inventory orders is to ensure that the default discount is set up. So I click on Settings and ensure that the default discount is checked, and for US and Canada, put 50% here. If you're in a different country, put in your default discount amount, then click OK. Where this is important is not only for product orders, you'll always have Boulevard calculate your product orders at that wholesale percentage, but with Boulevard 2020, when you go in to make any inventory adjustments directly to the on-hand field, it will automatically use that default discount to calculate the wholesale for you as well. So we're going to go ahead and go into our product list and take a look. Now you notice that I went into the product list by clicking on Inventory from the main toolbar, but you can also access by going to the product menu and choosing Product List. We're first going to print the inventory view, and I'm going to select that from the View drop-down, and it's going to show me everything that I have, that Boulevard says I have currently in my inventory. And once I print this, I'll take this and take a look at my inventory, do my physical count. When I'm ready to come back, I'm just going to go back to my default, and any adjustments that I need to make, I can go ahead and make directly on the product list. Just like that. Now, you have a couple of options with Boulevard 2020 on how you want to handle your miracle sets, your time-wise repair sets. You can either have Boulevard by default automatically split them when you order them into their individual pieces, and what Boulevard's going to do is automatically give the correct wholesale amount for those items and put them in their respective part numbers. Now when you sell a set, you can still add the actual miracle set on a customer's invoice, and Boulevard's going to pull the individual items and reduce the quantity. If you would rather track individual sets and manually split them, if you would prefer to track individual quantities for these sets and manually split them, you can do so. Now I've already changed the miracle sets to track individually so that I can put in a quantity here, but I've left one to show you, the botanical effects regimen. All you have to do is right click and choose Change to a Set. Boulevard's going to ask if you want to confirm that you'd like to do that. Now you've changed it to a set. So if I need to add any on-hand amounts to this, now I can. So now that I have made all of my adjustments, I'm actually ready to print my final inventory listing to get my cost of goods report. I'm going to close the product list and access reports, and you can get there by going to the main menu and clicking reports. And alternatively, you can also go to business tools and choose reports as well, and you'll access it there. I'm going to scroll down to the tax section. These are the reports that we recommend using for tax purposes. The first one is that inventory listing by category, and I'm just going to double click to open it, and you'll see my inventory listing has populated with the information that I've also put in preferences that I wanted displayed on the tax report. Now, we recommend that you actually export this instead of just printing it directly. If you export it as a PDF, just click the export button and click OK. Boulevard is going to create it as a PDF, and then you'll have it electronically. We also recommend, once you've finished doing your inventory and it's accurate, is to take a snapshot backup for tax purposes, just to have on hand. I'm going to go ahead and close the reports and choose File and Backup. Go ahead and put in the tax year that you're working on. And click Save. Once I'm finished with that, then I'm ready to move on to the next area. We're going to go ahead and take a look at expenses. You can access expenses by clicking on the Expenses button from the main toolbar, or you can also access it by going to the Business Tools menu as well. And a few areas that I'd like to go over is the filter sidebar. So you can change the date range. By default, Boulevard is going to default to the current month to show the expenses that have been entered. You can change that to any of these quick dates or enter in your custom date range. I'm going to go ahead and just change it to 2019. You can also change the sort order. By default, it's going to go to the oldest to the newest. So if I want to view the newest to the oldest, I would just click the date range or the date column, and you'll see the arrow pointing, and it's moved my cursor all the way down. If I want to scroll up, then I'll see my newest entries entered. You can also use any of the other filters if you're looking for a specific expense entry to ensure that you have entered it. Now, you can also add additional categories and payees if you need to add any new expenses under those categories as well. The other thing that is great about Boulevard is the fact that you can enter recurring expenses. That's what these symbols mean, is they are actual recurring expenses. And you can put them in either monthly, annually, set your own time frame, and Boulevard will enter those for you. Now, for them to be entered, you want to make sure that you do close your Boulevard every day so that Boulevard knows a new day has occurred and those new expenses will be added. The next area that we're going to focus on is your personal use and business supplies invoices. There's a couple of things that we want to check before we actually take a look at those, and that is the profile setup. So if you open your customer list, and I have mine at the top of my list, but you would find your personal use profile and open it. And we're going to first go to the Utilities button and choose Settings. Now, I have chosen personal use under the default discount. If you are using the Canadian version, that will say own use. And what that's going to do is it's going to default your discount that you should receive. If you need to change that and manually override it, you can do so. And it'll also ensure that you don't have any invoice follow-up, you're not put in your calendar to follow up or email invoices or any of that. And then you can choose to exclude from the dashboard. So any sales information that you add to this profile will not be included in the dashboard. Now, once you have your personal use profile set when you create an invoice, it will automatically default the invoice type to personal use. So it'll group them together. Any invoices that you've already created in that tax year, if they defaulted to reorder, you created them before you set up your personal use profile, just go in, edit them, and change them to personal use. Now we're going to go and take a look at the business supply profile. The business supply profile, what that's used for is any items that you pull out of your inventory for demonstration purposes, any items that you're donating to charity, items that have expired and can no longer be sold and you need to expense them out, as well as gifts given. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the utilities, choose settings again, but this time we're going to choose business supplies. Again, you can go ahead and exclude from dashboard, override the discount if you need to change it, but it will default to 50%, and then confirm that you want to save the profile settings. Now I'm going to actually create an invoice real quick here just so that you can see how it's handled. Once I add an item to the invoice, I'm going to mark it as paid. I don't need to keep a balance on this. Then if I go to the discount tab, you'll notice that it defaults to the business supplies discount type with the 50%, but Boulevard's also going to prompt you to choose the expense category. This is where you would choose, depending on what the product is being removed from your inventory for, which category you'd use. So if this is something that I'm using as a demonstrator, then I would go ahead and choose supplies COG for cost of goods. If it's something that's being removed because it's expired, then you'll go ahead and choose expired. And again, if you don't have an expense category already created, you can do that in the expenses section. So I'd go ahead and click OK, and not only is Boulevard removing that product from my inventory, but also putting an entry in my expenses for those products. Now, lastly, one of the tax reports that you print is your gross receipts, and it's going to include those business supplies and personal use invoices. But if you would like to print them separately, you can do that from sales transactions, and I can access that by clicking on Invoices from the main toolbar, or I can also go to the Business Tools menu and choose Sales Transactions. That's going to take me to the same area. And I would just use the filter sidebar here to change the date range. And I can change the date range, and then I would use my invoice type to get the group of the invoice type that I would like. And if I print it, I can preview it and PDF it just like I did with my inventory listing. Now if I print it as is, it's going to print as a summarized report. If I choose to select each checkbox, then that tells Boulevard to actually print them individually as invoices. Now we're going to go back to the reports just to cover each different report and what they mean. We've already talked about the inventory listing. It's your cost of goods on hand, and it needs to be done before entering any new year sales or product purchase information. Then there's your summary of expenses. We'll go ahead and pull that up, and it's going to default to the previous year, but you can change your date range. And it's a summarization of the expense entries that you've entered into Boulevard, and some of which that Boulevard automatically adds for you, such as the freight and any bank charges. Now I have an auto mileage category. If you choose to track your mileage through the expense section, it will show up down here below. If you use the trip log instead of using the expense section, you would just access that under the business tools and trip log. And the next is my gross receipts. And again, it's going to default to the previous year, but you can choose a different date range. And you'll see it has a summarization of each invoice type and the gross amount, as well as my personal use and my business supplies. Now, if I'm going and printing from sales transactions again, I can go ahead and exclude that, and it'll show a 0 amount for that. Same with business supplies. Then the next report is my product purchase report, and it's going to list every received order in Boulevard for that specific date range, and I can go ahead and print that as well, or again, we recommend PDFing it. And then lastly is my non-recovered sales tax summary, and I default to the previous year, but you can change the date range if necessary. And if you are using the Canadian version of Boulevard, you also have access to the GST PST rebate form, which would be found under the Business Tools menu as well. So those are the reports that we recommend using for tax purposes, and all but the inventory listing by category can be printed at any time that you choose. You can enter a date range. The inventory listing is the only report that does need to be done before entering any new information. And with that, your tax prep is done. The next area that I would like to go over is pulling up your customer's product usage. Who bought what? And we're going to specifically focus on the age-fighting moisturizer, since those have been recently launched again for US and Canada. And I'm going to go ahead and open my product list. And the first thing I'm going to do is go to the usage by customer view. And once I have the usage by customer view open, I'm going to click on the filter, and I'm going to change the date range to all dates and change the group to moisturizer. Then go ahead and click OK, and it's going to bring up all my moisturizers. Now I want to drill the list down to just my age-fighting moisturizers. So in the Find field, I just typed age-fighting, and then I'm going to type combo, so that I am only seeing those that have purchased the combo oily. Now, if your find box is not showing, I'm going to close it to show you. If your usage by customer view doesn't have your find box showing, you can right-click on any of the column headers and choose Show Find Panel, and that will bring up the search box or the find box. And just type age, fighting, and then combo. That will only show you those that have purchased the age fighting moisturizer, combo oily, or returned. And I'm going to go ahead and click the checkbox column header so it selects everyone, and then click List Builder. I'm creating a new list, so I'll leave it set to New List and give it a name. I'm differentiating it that this is my combo oily customers, and click OK. And I'm going to say no to viewing the list builder because I would like to pull the information for my normal to dry customers as well. So I'm going to go back to my list and change this to normal. So now I'm just viewing those that have purchased the normal dry. Again, I'm going to select the checkbox column header so it selects them all. Click List Builder again. Keep it on New List. Type age, fighting, moisturizer, but this time I'm going to say normal, and click OK. And if I'd like to view it, I can view it, and it's going to default to the list that I was just working on. Now if I need to go in here and make any changes, for example, I don't need to put the guest checkout on here, I can go ahead and click the edit button, and I can choose to add or remove any of the customers that I don't want on this list, like that. Now from the list builder, there's so many different things that you can do. I'm not going to go into all the details. That is actually going to be another webinar, and there's also videos out on our support center. But you can use this list builder to print as a report, send emails, create contact log entries, all of that. The last area that I'm going to cover in this webinar is adding images and using the free assets from our support center to dress up your invoices, and they can also be used for email messages and other customer marketing. You can access the free images by going to our online help center, and if you go to your help menu and choose help, that will automatically launch the support center. You can also go to any browser window, you don't have to be in Boulevard, and type boulevard.help, and that will access it as well. It's the same thing. And click on the image and asset library, and we are continually adding new images, gift certificates and vouchers, coupons that you can use for your customers, as well as flyers and postcards to dress up your invoices and use them for customer marketing. And to access your invoice preferences, if you click on Preference and then choose Images, you can access. Again, you can also access the invoice section by going to the Edit menu and choosing Preferences as well. And after you've downloaded the images, you can add them to your invoices here. Now for specific information on how to download and add them, visit our online support center for detailed information, and we will be having another webinar that covers that topic. Thank you so much for watching our webinar. I'm going to go ahead and open up this section of the webinar to questions. If we can't answer all of your questions, then please send us an email or come to chat and we can answer them there.